The vibrant star of Hollywood's golden period, Goldie Hawn, is now bringing an end to a chapter that has been discreetly hidden at the age of 79. It has nothing to do with the films, the accolades, or even the celebrity. This is a far more intimate matter. It's not the man you think, either. She is revealing for the first time who has always had her heart. Nobody anticipated anything. From unexpected disclosures to an unexpected Oscars moment. She never intended to tell this story until the end of her life. And everything was altered by a single genuine moment. Are you prepared to discover what she has concealed? Early aspirations and artistic foundations. The tale of Goldie Hawn starts in the bustling center of a multicultural family in Washington, D.C. Her father was a bandleader and classically trained pianist, while her mother operated a jewelry store and dancing school. Goldie's early experiences were influenced by this distinctive fusion of artistic settings. She was exposed to dance rhythm and performance at a very young age, not as impersonal concepts but as the fundamental substance of everyday existence. Dance was as much a means of communication as talk in her home, where music was allowed to flow freely. She nurtured the flame of performance in her soul. Although her childhood appeared to be happy and full of creative opportunities, there was a silent shadow that she wouldn't completely comprehend until much later. The fact that Goldie and her sister Patty had an older brother named Edward Jr., who passed away as a baby before Patty was born, was unknown to them. Their family dynamic was subtly affected by the hush surrounding his death. The loss influenced the emotional climate in her home, even though it was not publicly mentioned. Goldie's parents' silent anguish probably had an impact on the intensity of emotion she would later convey in her performances. Goldie's early sensitivity to emotional depth, a gift that would eventually make her a compelling performer beyond only her humorous charm, was a result of her brother's absence, a silent thread in the family's story. Goldie's love for dancing began as soon as she was able to walk. Her mother had already signed her up for tap and ballet lessons at her school by the time she was 3 years old. Naturally, she shone exceptional talent by the time she was 10 years old, appearing in The Nutcracker with the ballet Russie de Monte Carlo. This was the start of a lifetime focused on performance, not just a pastime. She continued to dance in her mid-teens and early 20s, began instructing and finally became the manager of her own ballet school. She distinguished herself early on with her discipline, grace and resolve, showing that she took the arts seriously. It appeared to have world-class standards by the age of it. Studying drama at American University, Goldie didn't see the use of limiting her performance requirements to a school setting. After leaving college, she began working full-time as a go-go dancer in New Jersey and New York's dance halls. Her dynamic stage appearance and high-voltage attitude quickly caught the attention of the world. She was already setting the path, even though she was still a few years away from the glittering lights of Hollywood. It was risky to leave college so abruptly. However, it was evidence of her unwavering faith in herself. Indeed, the young lady who was born to enchant the world did something great. It wasn't an easy transition from smoke-filled nightclubs to the national limelight. Nobody saw it coming, and it was explosive. Become famous. A brilliant burst of laughter marked the beginning of Goldie Hawn's ascent to fame. She became a member of the cast of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1968. The show was a huge hit and helped define television humor for a generation. Hawn immediately won over audiences with her contagious laugh, innocent wide eyes and perfect comedic timing. Her recurring role as a vivacious, slightly ditzy blonde enthralled viewers and swiftly established her as a household figure. Beneath the light-hearted facade, however, was a shrewd actor who knew how to deliver a punchline with the ideal balance of rhythm and subtlety. Laugh-In was the ideal venue for Goldie's distinct charm. Hollywood soon followed, bringing with it more substantial prospects. That chance presented itself in the 1969 movie Cactus Flower, in which Hawn portrayed an independent young lady entangled in a romantic web involving a dentist and his reluctant lover. She was able to demonstrate her emotional range and nuanced vulnerability in the character, which marked a dramatic shift from her television persona. Her performance astounded audiences and critics, and the Academy took notice. At the 1970 Academy Awards, Goldie took home the Best Supporting Actress Oscar. It marked a sea change in her career and cemented her as more than just a comedian on television. Hawn had demonstrated her humorous abilities and dramatic depth with the Golden Statue, which paved the way for more intricate and varied roles in the years to come. Goldie Hawn was likely developing the most remarkable filmography that combined both commercial and critical praise in the 1970s and 1980s. The lead in a number of high-grossing movies, including Shampoo 1975, in which she co-starred with Warren Beatty, and Private Benjamin 1980, in which she co-starred and co-produced. In Private Benjamin, Hawn portrayed a pampered widow who enters the army on a whim and discovers she has more inner power than she realized. Because of the film's tremendous popularity, she was nominated for another Academy Award, this time for Best Actress. She became one of the few female leads to truly establish herself as a bankable star who could carry a movie by herself thanks to those parts. Goldie Hawn carved out a niche for herself at an era when the majority of comedy and drama were performed by men. She was the sole face of the movies, not merely a supporting character or the inner portion of a romantic interest. Leading comedies that combine heart, wit, and that recognizable charm. In general, she initially underplayed the conventional characters that she typically played. However, something always surfaced to let us know that the characters were shown in a far better light and possessed far more strength and intelligence than was anticipated. Hawn's fame never wavered, demonstrating her constancy in the comedy genre, which at the time was dominated by men, making her incredibly inspirational and revolutionary. It demonstrated that women are capable of being warm, humorous, and the center of attention. Her first two marriages. Goldie Hawn had two failed marriages before she became half of one of Hollywood's longest-lasting couples. She married dancer and actor Gus Triconis for the first time in the late 1960s. They were both pursuing artistic careers at the time, and their mutual passion for performing brought them together at first. In 1969, they got married in Hawaii, during a time when Goldie's popularity was beginning to soar. But even as her career took off thanks to appearances in movies and television, Triconis had trouble finding steady employment. A silent but deepening breach was caused by the disparity between their work lives. Gus stayed on the periphery of Hollywood, while Goldie's schedule became hectic with press, production, and travel obligations. As a result of these different career routes, there was a growing logistical and emotional gap. And even though their breakup wasn't violent, it was unavoidable. After her first marriage ended, Goldie fell in love once more, this time with Hudson Brothers musician and actor Bill Hudson. Less than a year after meeting on a first-class flight in 1975, they were married. They had 2 kids together after a quick and intense bond, Kate and Oliver. But according to reports, Goldie's skepticism about traditional marriage emerged early. "Are you sure we did the right thing?" she questioned Hudson on their wedding day. He claimed that a particular moment plagued him. Goldie, who was still dealing with the demands of independence and celebrity, was less certain about fitting into domestic life, whereas Bill was prepared for stability and a regimented family life. Behind closed doors, stress increased as a result of their divergent perspectives on marriage and commitment. Hudson also filed for divorce in 1980. The breakdown of Goldie and Bill's marriage had an impact on both their relationship and their co-parenting status. Hudson claimed that Goldie made it hard for him to stay in touch with their kids after the divorce. Oliver and Kate became distant from their father over time, and openly expressed their support for Goldie's longtime partner Kurt Russell. Hudson expressed his deep regret and disgust at what he saw as a concerted attempt to remove him from his children's life. In contrast, Goldie asserted that her entire attention is on giving her children a secure and caring home. As the kids, Kate in particular, strutted around proclaiming Russell their actual dad, Hudson was thrown into even more emotional turmoil, further exacerbating the contrast between public image and private agony. Due to their differing opinions, Goldie's 2 ex-husbands painted conflicting images of the lady behind the Hollywood grin. According to Triconis, she became more aloof and enmeshed in the celebrity lifestyle after achieving popularity. Hudson was even more harsh and critical, calling her self-centered and manipulative, and refuting any statements she made regarding an open marriage. Despite being biased, the statements illustrate how challenging it is to maintain private relationships in public. The 2 marriages were thrown off balance by Goldie's ascent to fame, and the men who had formerly adored her began to view her differently in public. The impossible reunion. In 1966, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell were cast in the one and only authentic original family band, which is how they first met. At the time, Kurt was a young actor just starting out in show business, and Goldie was 21 and already making a name for himself. Because of their age difference and shared reluctance in dating other actresses, Goldie would later remember finding him cute, even though they didn't pursue a romantic relationship during that production. It was a quick, business-like encounter, but it sowed a seed that would linger in the back of her mind. Neither of them could have predicted at the time how this seemingly routine cooperation would turn into one of the most recognizable and long-lasting alliances in Hollywood history. Casting for the 1984 movie Swing Shift would bring that long-dormant link back to life 17 years later. Goldie attended Kurt Russell's audition and had already committed to the project. According to the narrative, Kurt was a little anxious and hungover when he arrived. As Goldie entered, he blurted out, "Dude, you've got a great figure," in an attempt to diffuse the atmosphere. The line was audacious, even clumsy. However, Goldie laughed and responded politely and humorously rather than taking offense. The years of separation between them were broken by that impromptu, flawed moment. It was unscripted and unpolished, but it made Goldie think of Kurt's genuineness and growing rarity in the circles she was in as a big Hollywood actress. The night started at the Playboy Club, where they danced to swing jazz motions and took in the atmosphere of the evening on the very next date they could schedule, which was anything from a typical date. Initially, it involved viewing a home that Goldie had recently purchased but had not yet received the keys to. Rather than returning home, the two broke into her residence by climbing through a window. When the cops showed up, they were perplexed that they had caught an actress and her companion trespassing on what would soon be her own house. They started laughing and exploring the vacant rooms. The date wasn't ruined by that amusing and untidy turn of events, it simply enhanced its memorability. It wasn't a fashionable way to conclude the evening, rather it was a necessity for partners to connect by spontaneity and mutual mischief. The chemistry between Goldie and Kurt was evident from that evening on, and working on Swing Shift further strengthened their relationship. Goldie saw through Kurt's charm and good looks to his honesty and humility, which were qualities that were very important to her. Their connection quickly evolved from a light-hearted flirtation to something far more serious during the filming process. What had started out as two actors getting to know one another again was now starting to develop into something far more important. Goldie saw in Kurt not just a spouse, but also a trustworthy individual, a man who wanted to see her for who she truly was, not for her fame. Officially, their romance had begun, with genuine laughing, not with a bang. And after 17 years, that flame was still alive, establishing a blended family. One of the first things Goldie Hawn noticed about Kurt Russell when they started dating in the early 1980s was not just his attractiveness or charm, but also the way he treated her kids. Oliver and Kate Hudson, who were both still very little, were Goldie's only children at the time. While Swing Shift was being filmed, she took them to the set and silently observed Kurt's interactions with them. His ease around them, more than any great gesture, was what was most notable. He had no intention of winning them over, he merely showed them patience, politeness, and sincere interest. Goldie subsequently claimed that she realized he could be more than just a boyfriend when she saw him with her children. He didn't simply accept that she will have kids, he accepted it and entered their life with poise and deference. In 1986, their son Wyatt Russell was born, expanding their family. By that point, Goldie had developed a close relationship with Kurt's son Boston from a previous relationship, and Kurt had completely assimilated into Oliver and Kate's lives. They bucked Hollywood standards by forming a really blended family. Only our lines were drawn, not those between hers and his. Growing up, Wyatt was surrounded by half-siblings who never experienced half of anything. Instead of allowing biology to set limits, Goldie and Kurt let love guide their decisions and put togetherness over structure. In a society when families frequently break down under stress, theirs became stronger every year. The most important part of family life was that Goldie and Kurt chose not to be married, which left everyone perplexed and with unanswerable questions. They believed that laws were not necessary for their relationship to be recognized, which was evident to the outer world. More important to them than any priceless wedding band was the fact that they woke up every day and made the decision to be together free from outside pressure. In this context, love meant active commitment rather than written documents. "It's not about ceremony," Kurt once said. "It has to do with relationships." It would serve as a model for their children of a completely different kind of partnership, one that was based on respect, individual independence, and a strong bond that did not appear to be derived from customs. From opposite perspectives, Kurt, who was raised in a more conventional manner, and Goldie, who has been divorced twice, discovered common parenting techniques. They were richly fed on fundamental principles like honesty, emotional transparency, and original thought. Although the casa was not the most well-established or strictly regulated, it was fostered with love, humor, and support from one another. Goldie supported everyone while adding individuality, resulting in a lovely equilibrium. Talk to their kids now, and they'll talk about the strange atmosphere they grew up in with a lot of emotion and depth. A house where everyone, regardless of background, fit in, boundaries were respected, and love always prevailed. Even if their home life was based on modest devotion, something genuinely amazing occurred once the spotlight was on them. Private strength, public affection. Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn have always had a special talent for fusing genuine warmth with public appearances. When they presented together at the 1989 Academy Awards, it became one of their most memorable moments. The audience was mesmerized by their easy chemistry and cheerful conversation. Goldie asked whether Kurt's remark was a marriage proposal, to which he replied slyly, "We'll talk about that later tonight." It was warm, totally in sync, and vintage Goldie and witty. They made another appearance together in 1996, when Goldie co-starred with Diane Keaton and Bette Midler in the inaugural Wives Club. Instead of taking center stage, Kurt proudly stood next to her, reaffirming their partnership's strength without using words. They worked together to create magic that went beyond red carpets. They co-starred in the romantic comedy Overboard in 1987, which soon won over many fans. The movie demonstrated their on-screen chemistry by skillfully fusing sensitivity, charm, and humor in a way that seemed completely real. Because their bond felt genuine, rather than due to dramatic plot developments, their chemistry was evident. They played Santa and Mrs. Claus together on screen in The Christmas Chronicles in 2018, decades later. Although Goldie's involvement in the first film was limited, it was extended in the second film, The Christmas Chronicles 2, which allowed viewers to witness their on-screen interaction once more. They were not merely fanciful in their depiction of the classic Christmas couple. It was sincere and reflected years of friendship and love in real life. Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's receiving stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame side by side in 2017 was nearly one of the most emotional occasions in public view. Even Goldie was taken aback by Kurt's comments during the festivities. He said, "I owe my wonderful life to you," as he looked at her. Goldie sobbed when she recalled the moment since it was so intimate, which that day resonated in the hearts of fans everywhere. It was an occasion to celebrate their relationship as well as their careers. It meant a lot to a couple who have always valued substance over show. Like the lives they have always led, Gold stars are immortalized side by side. Despite their immense fame, Goldie and Kurt deliberately chose a simple lifestyle, free from the burden of exposure. They have frequently discussed the value of taking a break from Hollywood to spend time with their families and take care of themselves. Far from the spotlight of Hollywood, they head west to their homes in Palm Desert and Colorado. Hiking, spending time with the grandchildren, or spending time together at home are all examples. They fiercely guard their personal lives. Beneath every glamorous exterior, there is a pair who value applause from the audience just as much as laughter at the kitchen table. Elasticity, love, and aging. Goldie Hawn has never held back when discussing love, particularly when it comes to the difficulties of committed partnerships. She is currently in her late 70s and provides a refreshingly candid perspective on attraction and monogamy, two subjects that are sometimes sidelined in discussions about celebrities. Goldie has admitted that it's normal to occasionally be attracted to other individuals in any long-term relationship. She asserts that the decision to be loyal to your lover is more important than the impulse. Trust has always been the cornerstone of Goldie and Kurt's relationship. They have fostered an atmosphere in which candor is not only accepted, but also encouraged. It is necessary. She thinks that this openness has enabled them to endure the unavoidable highs and lows that accompany cohabitating for more than 40 years. Elasticity is one of Goldie's favorite metaphors for love. She frequently talks about how adaptable and resilient her relationship with Kurt Russell is. She believes that resilience, not rigidity or perfection, is the key to good relationships. In times of stress, conflict or transition, a couple must be able to adapt without disintegrating. Goldie and Kurt have undoubtedly encountered difficulties over the years, from the difficulties of parenting a blended family to the obligations of Hollywood careers. However, their relationship has endured, in large part because they never called for perpetual peace. Instead, believing that the essence of their relationship would endure, they made room for emotional change and personal development. For decades, the core of their relationship's survival has been their humor. Whether at a red carpet event, or at their most intimate moments at home, Goldie and Kurt would undoubtedly have to be described as individuals who rarely lose their light-hearted repartee. Goldie frequently claims that their love will endure because laughter is and always will be the glue holding them together, and that finding joy in the little things in life tends to keep them together. Even so, respect for one another might be demonstrated through laughter. Both give it high marks in each interview with the media. They recall that they are individuals on their own and speak as lovers. Additionally, this has made it possible to foster an environment of support rather than rivalry, which is uncommon in the entertainment industry, where egos of all sizes are common. They're not just being playful for show. Knowing you truly understand and value someone's honesty is a positive indication of the emotional absence that forms. Health revelation and fallout. Goldie Hawn's performance at the 2025 Academy Awards was one of the evening's most surprisingly moving moments. Through an uncensored moment of vulnerability, rather than a staged speech or dramatic performance, Goldie openly acknowledged that she was having eyesight problems while presenting the Best Animated Feature award with Andrew Garfield. "I am totally blind," she said. I am alluding to the cataracts that had recently impacted her vision. The audience instantly became silent as she spoke without pretense. Goldie's admission stood out as something genuine and unvarnished in an environment that is frequently characterized by well-polished looks and meticulously practiced lines. It was unplanned and unglamorous. It was simply truthful, and it resonated because of that. Andrew Garfield responded with kindness and poise as the situation developed. Evidently touched by her admission, he intervened to assist her in reading the candidates and walked her through the remainder of the presentation with kind guidance. Though slight, their conversation was incredibly human. Garfield didn't make the situation about himself or overshadow her. Rather, he provided discreet assistance that enabled Goldie to keep her composure while performing. They handled the situation jointly in a way that seemed natural and caring, exhibiting a generosity that isn't often shown during awards season. Despite being momentarily startled, Goldie continued to act composedly, demonstrating fortitude in real time. Although it was a minor gesture during a large ceremony, it had an impact on viewers at home and in the room. The media's reactions in the hours and days that followed were prompt and largely positive. The followers applauded Goldie's bravery, describing the moments as sincere, courageous, and profoundly human. The social media platforms were flooded with condolence messages from both fans and other celebrities. Many were taken aback, not just by the admission but also by how calmly and publicly she overcame such a personal obstacle. Her willingness to talk about something as delicate as vision loss was remarkable in a field that always prioritizes appearances. Under public attention, it generated conversations about aging, health, and grace. Conversations that rarely took place on a night typically associated with glitz and splendor, unwanted attention and backlash. What was first perceived as a tender and vulnerable moment for Goldie Hawn quickly turned into a cause of emotional distress in the days after the 2025 Oscars. Goldie reportedly privately apologized for her on-stage disclosure of her cataract-related visual loss. Even while the audience sympathized with her candor, she hadn't expected the amount of attention it would garner. According to people close to her, she was embarrassed because the incident swiftly became the main topic of Oscar night commentary. not because she had anything to conceal. What had started out as a succinct, straightforward comment was now being dissected in soundbites, headlines, and social media posts. She felt vulnerable in ways she hadn't anticipated due to the unexpected attention. A flurry of media conjecture on Goldie's appearance at the ceremony further exacerbated the unease. Some internet bloggers and tabloid outlets started to question her appearance, as is frequently the case when celebrities make high-profile appearances later in life. Numerous media conjectured that she might have had cosmetic treatments like facelifts or fillers, but they lacked concrete proof. These theories were widely held, even though Goldie has never verified any such therapies. The grace and presence she brought to the stage were diminished by the opinions of critics and so-called experts. Her personal looks became the main emphasis, rather than her career or her role at the Oscars. Older women in Hollywood have historically been more affected by this trend than their male counterparts. Goldie's Oscar performance was overshadowed by the controversy around her. She was there with Andrew Garfield to give a distinguished award and to praise the animators. The rumors about Goldie and her revelation of her health issue took everyone's attention away from the candidates and winners. The swirl of widely circulated rumors and implication overshadowed Goldie's thoughtfulness and composure. She was unable to receive recognition for being a seasoned actor who handled a private matter with grace. The gossip pages used her as fodder. It was a sobering reminder of how quickly public opinion can shift and how disastrous even the best-laid plans and most innocent moments may turn out to be. She was brought back into the spotlight by an unexpected burst of humor just when everything felt a bit too harsh. Personal choices and family humor. Following her tearful 2025 Oscars performance, Goldie Hawn was the focus of a charming and amusing family conversation that helped diffuse the tension. Actor Oliver Hudson, her son, joked on Instagram that his mother seemed to like Andrew Garfield more than him. Following their emotional exchange on stage, she didn't back down from the joke as is customary for Hawn. She responded with a clever remark, totally embracing the comedy. "I was talking to Andrew." Fans were charmed by this playful back and forth, which also provided a peek of the tight, playful relationship Goldie has with her kids. The moment wasn't merely adorable. It served as evidence to the love and humor that characterize her family's relationship. At about the same time, Goldie apparently declined a high-profile opportunity that many would have jumped at the chance to appear on the UK's Celebrity Big Brother. Why? Her persistent visual problems. Insiders claim that she believed her cataracts and the difficulties they caused would prevent her from giving the show her full participation. However, in addition to her health issue, Goldie's selective attitude to fame was reflected in the decision. She has never been one to pursue fame for its own sake, and her decision to decline the chance was in line with her lifelong preference for privacy and genuineness above publicity. Goldie's family has always been at the core of her life, regardless of the glamour of her professional life. Her close relationship with her children, Wyatt, Kate, and Oliver, as well as her grandkids, is marked by sincere affection, inside jokes, and shared memories. Goldie is present, lively and innocent, in everything from family vacations and humorous Instagram moments to the little things in life. Kate Hudson has publicly acknowledged her mother as a source of happiness and stability. Their closeness is genuine. It is an organism that lives its life and breathes. Attending school events, the grandchildren's birthday celebrations, and movie night are all examples of her full involvement in her family's life. These actions reveal more about her intentions than any Hollywood honor could. Please remember to like, comment with your favorite Goldie moment, and subscribe for more amazing Hollywood tales if you liked this glimpse inside Goldie Hawn's amazing path. Don't go anywhere too. For additional behind-the-scenes looks at the celebrities you adore, click the next video that appears on your screen.